You're listening to the Walking Dead Enthusiasts Podcast. Your hosts, Sebastian Kubanucci.
I thought I had to take a really big dump after eating tacos, and I got up, and there was a baby in my toilet.
Dennis Patrick.
I wouldn't miss my family in the zombie apocalypse, but I would be concerned about the future of Taco Bell.
And Ryan Smith.
You can put ketchup on your sketty all you want, but you can't date no child molestator. And we're live.
Welcome to the Walking Dead Enthusiast Podcast by Fandom Found. I'm Sebastian.
I'm Dennis.
And I'm Ryan.
Today we're talking about episode 9, or episode 1 of season 9 of The Walking Dead, entitled A New Beginning. Clearly I'm rusty, even though I shouldn't be.
Oh boy. You've been doing Fear, right?
I've been doing Fear, so that should have gone better than I did. But yeah, you know, whatever. It is what it is. We're live. It's live TV, you know.
Yeah. We're trying this new live thing for The Walking Dead now. We've been doing it with Survivor. It's been doing pretty good, I think.
I think this is good. It'll breathe new life into our Walking Dead coverage, no pun intended. Because after last season, I feel like we needed it, as we were about to rage quit.
Oh, that was real tough.
Last season was really tough. Season 7 was tough. Season 8 was even worse. Like it's been generally a really hot mess, and we left last season really not that good. You know,
we didn't have high hopes.
No, we didn't have high hopes, and we didn't even know if we really wanted to come back and keep doing it, as far as I remember, right?
Yeah. I mean I was on the fence. Oh my god.
I know you were. Yeah, I mean, I'm just like the kind, I'll like suffer through, and like I'll probably go down with the ship, but even if I don't want to, but but we're here, and we're gonna talk about season 9. I know Dennis is in it to the end with me, right, Dennis?
Might as well. We've been doing this for 6 years.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah. So
Oof.
what's another 10, right?
Did they even renew it for a season 10?
Oh, no, I don't think, not officially yet, but they were just like releasing all these articles over the break that was basically like, oh, we could see this going on for another 10 years easy. And I mean, that's why Scott Gimple got promoted, because he's doing such a good job.
10 years?
He's doing such a good job, and there's gonna be big announcements coming soon. I have a feeling they're gonna be having like another spin-off or something like that.
We're gonna have a new spin-off. We're gonna kill off the entire original cast of Walking Dead and replace them with new people from the shore town, and no one's gonna give a shit about any of these characters.
Maybe Rick is leaving this show to go to another show.
No. No way.
No, I don't. Well, that's like some big news that we didn't actually talk about coming out of last season. So I think before we talk about A New Beginning, we should probably talk about some of the old news that's happened, which is like Andrew Lincoln's reportedly leaving The Walking Dead. He's only going to be in, I think, 6 episodes of season 9, and then after that he's done.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I don't know how you guys feel about that. Also, Lauren Cohan reportedly leaving as well. I believe she's only going to be in 6 episodes too. So she accepted a new position after they refused to pay her what she wanted. So she said, "Fuck you guys," and and she left. So, Dennis, what are you thinking of that first? Let's start with you.
Thinking of them leaving?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. It's just show hasn't been good for a while, so let's just see what they do.
Well, yeah, but do you think that's gonna help the show at all?
You know, I really can't see anything hurting this show at this point.
It's already hurt itself. Pretty much.
I mean. It's just not gonna. There's nothing that's gonna put the final nail in the coffin. It's just slowly going.
True. Ryan, what do you think of it?
I don't know. After last season, it's just kind of like it's just things are happening like you expect everything to happen now. There's no big surprise anymore of what's happening. Like it was just like there was this scene in this episode. It was that random guy who no one has ever seen before, unless you have, and he was just so insignificant. I've never, like, I didn't bother remembering him. And then he has this, like, 5-minute death scene where fucking Maggie's crying over it. I'm like, why am I supposed to feel for this character that I just met and I have no idea who he is?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He wasn't ever introduced as far as I remember. And I don't think you're supposed to feel for him. I'm going to be honest with you. I really like this episode. I thought it was really good. I thought it was kind of like we've talked about coming off of season 7 and season 8, where it's just been an absolute dumpster fire of a show. I thought this episode was pretty refreshing, and I felt like it was a return to form in some ways. There were some little tidbits, little, issues I had here and there, but ultimately I felt like it was pretty good. Like that guy's death, I didn't necessarily feel like I was supposed to care that he died, but I'm glad his death was a catalyst for something else that happened in the episode. It wasn't just like a pointless death. Like almost the entire episode was based around this kid's death and all the shit that happened because of it. So I was like, okay, this is like a cohesive story in a single episode. This is impressive. And I was happy with it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. This episode is a major step up from the past season or 2 seasons that we've had. I liked it probably for a different reason. There was very clearly a time jump, even though it doesn't really feel like there was, other than like Maggie having a kid and now it's like walking and shit. Herschel.
Baby Hirsch.
And then the relationship between the king and Carol was interesting. I did like the scene where Rick and Michonne were laying in bed and they were like going back and forth having a conversation with each other, and they were always like, Rick Grimes.
Yeah.
I thought that was good. But yeah, this the main reason I really like this episode is I like to see the development of what people are doing, how they're evolving in a post-apocalyptic background, whereas like if you have a movie, they don't really show how the people live on after the big event. And it was refreshing for me to see how after the whole Negan thing and all this shit they've gone through, how they're building up their communities and working together. I also really enjoyed the plot points they're setting up for the season, like the bridge being out, how they're going to fix that, the tension between Daryl and Rick, the tension between the Savior's old camp and the rest of the camps, and like how they're still trying to get them to go by themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we don't really know how long the time jump was. So
so they didn't officially say it on the show, but off the show they said it's about 1.5 years. So 16 months roughly.
Okay. So I guess there was a winner there we missed, as we always do.
Yeah, I don't know why I feel like they would have a very cool opportunity to do a winter season, and I understand it's just not practical. They film in Atlanta and it's just not gonna happen. But you're in the north, or I wouldn't classify DC as northeast or super northeast, but
you still get snowstorms in DC, and it would be great to like have Rick and gang like trudging through a foot of snow and seeing all these frozen zombies all over the place and having to deal with the cold and finding food and all that kind of stuff. I think that would be a good for like half a season.
I totally agree with you. I mean, like that's something the show has never done before, and think of like all the new and different things that they would have to deal with that they've never dealt with before. Mm-hmm. Like look at Game of Thrones, and that like the whole show is based off of like winter is coming and what they're doing to prepare for that. Like imagine that in The Walking Dead, but like with much more real, much real stakes. This actually just reminded me. Lucy commented. She said, "Be careful what you ask for. They'll CGI snow." And
hey, Lucy, welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome. We do have, if you're listening live on YouTube, there is a chat functionality. So if you comment, we'll read the comment. If you have questions, we'll read the questions and answer and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. But yeah, one of the things that really popped out to me in this episode, overall, like I said, I have these nitpicky things, but I thought generally it was a good episode. The CGI I thought was complete trash in this episode. It was so bad, and it just made me laugh because I knew, Ryan, you were probably losing your shit with half the CGI in this episode.
I've been watching other AMC shows, and the CGI budget is just absolute garbage. So one of my new favorite shows from AMC is called Preacher. Fantastic show. I really do enjoy it. I started reading the comics because of it, because I want to know more about that universe. And the CGI in that's not great. I'm just convinced myself that AMC has just had a shit CGI department. And as long as they're not going to transition back to that fucking GIF deer they threw in that one scene where Rick was climbing the Ferris wheel, like, that's absolute garbage. Like, as long as they don't go back to that, they're exceeding my expectations. So the blown up bridge with the river was, and then the fucking crows flying around at the beginning were very obviously CGI'd. And then I also watch the Amazon show Man in the High Castle, and the CGI in that is just fucking phenomenal. It's absolutely beautiful. And so after I transitioning between shows, I'm just like, I expect shit from AMC. I expect fucking phenomenal stuff from, Amazon TV shows and HBO shows. It's just like something I've accepted now, so I'm not going to harp on it as much anymore unless it's like super standoffish or standoutish. Like, what the fuck were they doing?
I mean,
kind of stuff.
Within the first 4 seconds of this episode, where Tara is riding the horse on the highway, and that the signage for the highway, it was just so bad.
Oh, I didn't see. I didn't even notice that.
Or you see, it was the sign was just a complete, those green signs on the highway that tell you what your exit is. Or
completely. I watch during work, so I watch listen, so I miss little things like that.
Gotcha. Well, you need to go back and.
I don't know if I can stomach watching rewatching an episode of this show, but we'll see.
You got it, man. All right. Well, my personal feeling, and are you guys watching Fear? Did you guys watch this latest season of Fear the Walking Dead?
No.
Okay. No, Dennis, you didn't either. Okay. Well, my big fear, losing Rick as a main kind of character and who the show is focused around since the very beginning. They did the exact same thing, and obviously spoiler alerts for Fear the Walking Dead. And if you didn't watch it, then whatever. But we covered that too. So fandomfound.com/subscribe, and you can listen to that shit show of podcast. They made the decision for whatever reason to kill off Madison in the mid-season finale, and Madison obviously was the Rick Grimes equivalent of that show. And instead, they brought Morgan over from The Walking Dead and put him on Fear and made him the lead character. And we all know how we felt about Morgan. He's one of the most I don't know. He's terrible. And the worst part is they promised that there would be new storylines for Morgan, and he would not just be the same character that he was on The Walking Dead. And literally the last 2 episodes of this season, episode 15 and 16, episode 15 was called I Lose People, and episode 16 was I Lose Myself. And it's literally I'm like, this is a slap in the face.
It's such a shame too, because Lenny James is such a fucking good actor, and he has to play this shit fucking written role that we were so happy to get off Walking Dead, and now he's on to Fear and ruining that. It's like Scott Gimple just I'm gonna take this shit character with me because I'm a piece of shit, and I'm gonna go ruin this good show that's taking that was really good season 3, and I'm just gonna shit all over it.
I swore I heard Lenny James said, I only want to do this if Morgan is going to develop as a character and he's going to get different storylines and things are going to be different. And they said, yes, we promise you it will be. And then he's literally the exact same character saying the exact same things in Fear the Walking Dead. And the biggest problem with that show is not Lenny James as an actor, but Morgan as a character is not important enough to be the central character of a show. He's just not that interesting. He just doesn't have that same gravitas that a Rick Grimes has as a leader. And that's my biggest fear for them, for Andrew Lincoln to leave.
Biggest fear.
It's just who is the main anchor of the show.
I don't know. They kill her off, and now who you got left? I haven't watched. Fear season 4 yet. So I don't know anything other than what you've told me. But it seems like Like, who's left? Are the two kids still alive?
No, the only person left is Alicia Debnam Carey.
Who is that? Is that the? She plays Alicia. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
They killed off the son too.
Yes. He wanted off the show. He asked to be killed off.
Oh wow.
Let me ask you this: was it a creative decision to kill off Madison, or is she tapping out?
Yes. No, that's the worst part. Okay, so going into season 3, or going into season 4, Dave Erickson, who was the showrunner, left the show. He was going on to do something else, and so he left it super open-ended. He was like, you could basically do whatever you want, the way I ended this season. But the season was really good, but they knew that Frank Delane, who played Nick, wanted to be killed off, so they should have just killed him off in the season 3 finale, but they didn't. So going into season 4, the only rule that they had was Frank Delane needs to die. That's it. And so they killed him off and decided to kill off Madison. Kim Dickens was like, I loved being on this show. I didn't want to go. I still don't want to go. And they made the creative decision to kill her off for no fucking reason.
Wow. Probably because her character would have competed with Morgan.
Probably, but like, she's a better fucking character than Morgan.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, that's not hard, but yeah, I agree.
Well, and so like, with Alicia being the only one left, it makes her, it's kind of like Rick. Like, this is the exact same situation on The Walking Dead. Carl is dead, so now Rick as a character kind of feels like he's just floating out there in the abyss, because we know as viewers, Rick's main motivation in life was his son. So now that Rick doesn't have that, he's kind of just floating out there. And that's the same with Alicia. She has no family left. She's one of the OG characters. The only one left is Strand besides her. And that's it. It's like she has no motivation either. So what are we watching? Nothing.
Unmotivated people in a zombie apocalypse.
Unmotivated people doing unmotivated things. And it's boring as shit. And I blame Scott Gimple. He fucking sucks, and he needs to be fired. I don't understand. I think like his quote unquote promotion or whatever is really just their way of trying to like make it look like he is not there anymore. Mm-hmm. But his influence on Fear the Walking Dead this last season is so evident based off of how badly that show has gone from really great in season 3 to fucking awful in season 4, and it's for the exact same reasons The Walking Dead was awful. It's just like everyone talks in fucking weird lingo. The storylines don't really matter. They drag on. Like this whole half season was them going back. He's like, I came all the way down here. Now I want to go back to Alexandria, and now you're all coming back with me. And then at the end of the season, they're like, all right, let's go to Alexandria, and he's like, nah, never mind. And like that was the whole season. It literally rendered the entire season null and void for Fear the Walking Dead. So that's why with Angela Kang coming in and running The Walking Dead now, I know she's a big fan. She's been on the show since season 2, and I have faith in her the way I had faith in Scott Gimple when he first started. So hopefully she doesn't fuck it up.
Isn't Scott Gimple, is he show running Fear?
No, but he...
So wouldn't he have still the same over influence on The Walking Dead?
So I'm not entirely sure like what his influence is. I know, frankly, I like that Angela Kang is a woman. She has a different point of view. Hopefully she has different perspectives on things and will treat the characters a little bit differently. The two dum-dums who are running Fear the Walking Dead now are literally baby Scott Gimple clones. They're like these hipster kind of douches who like think they're too fucking smart, and they like to pat their own backs about everything. And I'm just like, you're both awful. Go away, please. So I don't know whether he has like a ton of control. I would assume because they were new, he was probably helping them out a little bit more than he's helping out Angela Kang. But I don't know. The best thing AMC can do is just like act like they don't know him anymore. Reddit hates him, man. Like literally every thread is fuck Scott Gimple. Every single fucking one.
When you ruin a fucking series as bad as he did, like,
yeah, I don't know
expect?
how you. I don't know. Dennis, what were you gonna say?
What's his position now over at AMC?
He's like head content manager. He like is overseer of the entire quote Walking Dead franchise. So he's responsible for like expansion of the franchise, which he says they have like a big announcement or whatever. So whether it's a movie or another spin-off or so on and so forth, you know, he's kind of the overseer of all that. I don't know if it's just like a demotion promotion just to like get him out of the fucking public eye because AMC knows everyone fucking hates him, but you know, I don't know. Best thing they could do and probably make fans happy is cut his ass. Be gone.
Be gone, Scott.
Exercise him like a demon.
But all right, let's jump back into this episode.
Sorry, yeah, that
took a little turn there.
I really needed to like get that off my chest.
No, it's fine. Like I think you're echoing a bunch of most fans who watch the show and consider it one of their favorite shows, like we do. It's just it's disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And it's just, like you said, I think this episode was a little refreshing, and I'm curious to see where the season goes. I hope this bridge arc doesn't take, or fixing the bridge arc doesn't take all fucking season.
Yeah, I agree. I instantly got worried about that as soon as I heard that was like the main, concern going into the next episode. But there is this writer for Forbes, I think his name's like Eric Kane or something like that, and he saw the first 3 episodes, and this guy shits on Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead. Like, he doesn't hold back, kind of like us.
Worse than we do. I was gonna say.
Yes, like worse than we do. And he writes for Forbes, so a bajillion more people hear it than hear our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I saw the first 3 episodes, and honestly, all 3 of them are pretty great, and the third one being the best out of the 3. So,
oh wow,
I guess if you like this one, then, only good things are coming. But
oh well, next episode's called The Bridge.
Yeah, look at that.
That is one thing I will say. Is that Angela King seems to be like steamrolling through these arcs. That's what I really like so far of this whole episode.
I totally agree with you. Mm-hmm. And she was on The Talking Dead, and she basically, and I had read some previous interviews with her, and she was just like, shit has been dragging on for way too fucking long. And we're looking to like cut the fat and go full force. We've heard the fans' commentary. It's drags, and we're not going to have that. And she said in this, like, we've known Gregory for seasons now. We know the type of person that he is. There's really no reason for him to be alive by the end of this episode. So we killed him. And I was like, slow motherfucking clap. Thank you. Jesus Christ. I was really happy with that. So yeah, I don't know. I feel hopeful for this at least half of season. I'm just like a little bit worried because I know like a lot of people are anticipating Andrew Lincoln leaving and Maggie and Lauren Cohen leaving, and I just worry like that's what's making this half season exciting, because it's like, oh, I want to see how this happens. So it's kind of like what Fear the Walking Dead did in the first half of that season, like this whole mystery of is Madison alive or dead, and then after that was over, then there was nothing. And I'm worried like after this first half is over, then there's going to be nothing. So that's where I'm just like going into it with like a little bit of hesitancy, just hoping and praying that it all works out.
Yeah, it's one of those things we're going to have to wait and see, unfortunately.
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
First, who's to say of the season? All right. What do you guys want to talk about in this episode? Likes, dislikes, diarrhea?
Well, I'm very happy they killed off what's-his-face. He was fucking annoying. Gregory.
Yeah. I like the fact that obviously there's a lot of heavy imagery in the music to like a civil war, and I thought that was kind of like a unique aspect. Not only is there kind of like a brewing civil war between the different factions, but there's almost even a brewing civil war in between Rick and his main core group of people.
Yeah, I don't know about a civil war between the factions. I didn't get that vibe, but I did get the vibe between Rick and his people.
So you didn't think like, oh, like I forget what the woman's name is, the one who lost her son. She was like, he died getting shit for the sanctuary. He wasn't even getting stuff for the hilltop. Kind of like that shit. Maggie saying very clearly at the end, like, I'm not fucking giving the sanctuary any more shit unless they do this, and this.
I mean,
we've been taking care of them
no,
for this long.
No, because that was a conversation between 3 people plus Gregory, and not the entirety of Hilltop. Gregory said, I've been talking to people, but I don't fucking believe him.
Really? You don't? I think he was fucking campaigning around town.
I think he was, but I don't think anybody agreed with him. Like, he's a little shithead. No one's gonna ever follow that guy.
I don't know. It's like one of those things, like at your job, like that one person is usually always the cancer, and they like can drum up a lot of shit and a lot of drama and turn the other employees against, management or whatever. Like, he's that type of person. He is the cancer. So I'm like, at least in the Hilltop. So I feel like killing him, executing him at the end was probably the wisest decision
I agree.
Maggie ever made on the show.
I didn't like where the kids just randomly came out to see it. I thought that was stupid.
Why?
Because they were in bed. Like, why would kids just randomly come out? I don't know. I'm cherry picking, but it just seemed really, really dumb to me.
I think they said that was a callback to. This is an official thing. I think I saw it on Reddit. Like a callback to season 2 when Rick and Shane are gonna execute Randall in the barn, and Carl happens to like stumble upon them. I think it was kind of like calling back to that. And like, you're telling me as a kid, if you heard screaming and yelling outside your window, your ass wouldn't be out of bed and like trying to find out what the fuck is going on.
I mean, yeah, probably. But those kids look like they were like real fucking young.
They were really young, but I don't know. I thought that was a nice touch. Shows how ruthless Maggie is, willing to do what needs to be done. I wouldn't even call it ruthless. I mean, this guy tried to fucking kill her.
Yeah.
Twice. So I don't think it's like a ruthless. I actually saw like a lot of people commenting online, like, she went too far. She shouldn't have done that.
What?
And I was like,
do you know who this guy is? He's been a thorn in everyone's side since they got there.
Yeah.
Did they do anything with the 2 people, the parents?
I don't know. I was wondering that because you see him.
It's like a cuff almost.
Yeah, he was like his hands were tied at the end of the episode. I thought he was also going to be executed, but he's alive at the end of the episode. So I don't know. Maybe he just gets locked up. The whole thing with Gregory's just. I think, like, I don't hate him as a character and I want to see him gone. I thought he actually adds like a unique element to the show. If you had any doubt that Gregory was a giant piece of shit, this episode definitely solidifies it, because not only does he try to have Maggie killed, he's giving a recovering alcoholic of 20 years booze, and after his son dies, and then convincing him to try and murder Maggie. I'm like, there should be no feeling bad for this guy whatsoever. So I really don't understand the fan reaction to that. But those are the same people who are like, oh, I don't want to see anyone die. I'm just like, kill them all. But yeah, no, I thought it was all good. It was all good in the hood. Sebastian approved for sure.
Sebastian approved.
Dennis, what did you think about this storyline in comparison to how they did it in the comic books?
I was just about to bring that up. It seemed kind of odd because even in the show, Rick Grimes is trying to make a new world by not killing people, putting them in prison. Even in the comic books, it's like a big, huge debate between not Lori. Oh my gosh, Maggie and
Lori's still
Rick.
alive.
Yeah, I still believe it. But it wasn't even brought up at all during this episode. Rick seemed totally on board
with killing Gregory.
Gregory, yeah.
I couldn't even recall.
It was a huge debate. Like, he was totally against it, and then when that happened, I think I keep wanting to say Lori. I think Maggie was almost afraid to approach Rick after that whole scene. So
Yeah,
they're
I
a
think you're
huge
right.
thing. She didn't want to talk to Rick about it, but she knew she had to.
Yeah, no, I kind of liked in this episode that Maggie was just assertive, and she's basically like, Rick didn't really seem to want to stop it. Michonne seemed to stop it. But I like that she just kind of made the decision for herself. And another of the key differences between the comics and the show is I think Maggie's poisoned in the comic books versus
Right.
attacked in this, which I think strangely enough, hear me out. Pigs are flying. Hell has frozen over. I think this might be a comic storyline that I'd like the TV adaptation better than the comics. I think it makes more sense. I don't really love the idea because I think Gregory poisons Maggie in the show with like poison wine or something like that, and then somehow like Jesus comes in and saves her with like an antidote or something. I don't really remember. It just seemed kind of far-fetched and hard to believe. This seemed like way more believable, and kind of cool. So I was like, wow,
Jesus
a
is
comic
the bread.
storyline. What?
It almost looked like Edith was in a wheelchair.
Well, that guy fucking threw her down and like broke her neck on the damn canoe.
Yeah, I must have missed that.
What do you mean? She
I
came
mean,
in.
No, I seen her knocked down. I didn't realize it was that hard.
She got knocked out.
Yeah, he just fucking threw her.
Yeah, he chucked her like across the damn room, which I thought
She's
was
young enough. Those bones are not hard.
She'll bounce back. She'll bounce
That's
back.
It was pretty random that she was in a fucking wheelchair.
Well, she was concussed. Okay, was it not that was like the next day too? Because I think there was like a time between the attack and then Rick comes and visits Maggie during the day, and then that night she kills.
Did we lose them? Hello? Oh, can you guys hear me? Uh-oh. I can't hear any of you. This is dumb. Oh, be right back. Oh, there we go. Now I can hear you.
All right, good.
Sorry about that. We're back. Lucy says, is it really more believable getting a drunk dude into a druid robe?
I did notice, I was like, when I saw that, I thought the imagery was cool. I liked how he's kind of like standing there lurking in the darkness, but I did have a bit of a hearty chuckle when I was like, this guy is just in this robe, just standing there, like waiting. I don't know. It seemed kind of
The great, good.
What's the first baby attack we've seen?
I know. I'm surprised they went there and and threw a baby to the ground.
Yeah, they tossed that baby.
That seems really violent for babies. Apparently, Judith is going to have a major storyline this season.
How?
Just a little wise ass.
Apparently, our comic, yeah, calling her dad fat and shit and grumpy face. Apparently, at Comic-Con, he said that he's glad that AMC decided against. So apparently he was very adamant at killing off Judith in the show. He's like, this needs to happen. It's important. Make it happen. And AMC was like, no. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. And so he says that he's so glad that, they said no, because her storyline in this upcoming season is going to be really great.
We want baby walkers.
We do want baby walkers, but we're not going to get a baby walker, so at least
You
not
have to like
a
read
Judith
between the
baby
lines.
What do you mean?
Kirkman. With Kirkman, whenever he talks, it's so sarcastic. So almost you have to like read between the lines of what he means.
Frankly, I'm shocked he's even involved anymore, because I'm pretty sure he's suing these people on like a daily basis.
Is
so, yeah, they're like in a lawsuit right now. So,
what do you know what about?
Trying to get money or whatever.
How much they fucked up his comic?
Well, he should be suing them over that. That's for damn sure. But I don't know. Maybe look at the Whisper is right and everything will be right in the.
Maybe.
All I want from Kirkman is the cutting room floor book.
Dude, I want a cutting room floor book. I kind of want to put together the cutting room floor book. Like, I feel like that should be our next big promotional thing for the podcast. Like, we're doing a behind the scenes look at the inner workings of The Walking Dead and all the drama that happened behind the scenes, and we can interview each person that.
Drama stream.
But he was also putting out a book of all the stuff he had planned to do for the comic that he just like wrote out.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he was in the works. This was years ago. He kept like talking about it, but it hasn't come out yet.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Like, it sounds good, but
Was
Never
there
did
like
it.
any specific examples?
I can't remember off the top of my head. But there was it sounded good from what I remember.
Is one that Lori and Judith are secretly alive in the comic books?
That's still gonna happen.
I don't know how they would make it happen all these years, but I still believe. I'm a truther, right, Ryan?
Oh yeah, they never showed her. That zombie did not eat her entire fucking body.
Well, we're talking in the comics, but I also agree
Oh.
with the show. I forget who I was literally. Were we just talking about that the other day?
I wasn't. No.
I was talking to someone about that. We were just saying how fucking silly the whole thing was. The fact that they went on the Talking Dead and they were like, yeah, the body, like skull, femur, everything. Somehow it
Just-
ate.
Ate her ass.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. So what else happened in this episode? Let's talk about. We get a little taste of everyone, kinda. Which is maybe one of my little gripes. You know, Dennis and I, we were texting while the episode was airing, and I kind of felt, at least initially, it felt like a little tedious because they were giving us little pieces of every character. It felt like they were just giving them lines in order to give them something to say, like Anne and Gabriel and that Oceanside chick. But I kind of like that after a while we kind of get a vibe. I guess the Oceanside chick is the only Oceanside chick left, or is that Oceanside community its own community now still?
Well, they mentioned it, like how far it was away. So I think
Yeah,
it is
you're right.
its own thingy.
Yeah, because Gabriel, someone was going there. Eugene and someone else was gonna go over to the Oceanside community.
Did I miss
So-
the part where everybody became friends with Eugene again?
Eugene saved them, man.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Hero. Remember, he made all those bullets that all of those people fired at the exact same time, and it either killed or maimed all of them.
I think I just blacked out most, if not all, of that season.
I literally just remembered that, and I'm kind of upset that I did because that shit was so bad. It was, yeah, bringing back some really bad memories about that. That finale was really bad. So, what did you think of the whole mission to acquire the boat and the wagon? And it looks like some sort of farming thing.
The farming equipment, that makes sense. I don't understand why they went and got another wagon when they already had that like jerry rig one with the like new tires on it, like car tires on it. So they had a wagon, but then they went and got some antique wagon for some reason.
Yeah, didn't they roll in on a wagon?
Yeah, they rolled in on a wagon. It was just like a wagon with car tires.
Yeah, I wonder why they did that.
That canoe looked old as fuck, like like stupid old, like Pleistocene era old. Like you could carve a better, like you could go to any lake in this area and find like 30 canoes and kayaks and just take those.
Yeah, that's kind of like that attention to detail things that were bothering me a little bit. Some of the, frankly, I probably could have done without this entire sequence of events. I thought the only thing I thought was worth getting there in that entire scenario and risking all of your lives for was whatever that plow thing was.
Yeah, the one that for the field. And they
Yeah.
they literally were like, yeah, so our metal workers can just use this as a copy and make others.
Sure.
I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense why they got that
Cool.
one. But I still
Totally.
don't understand why they got that big ass honking wagon down the steps. And then right after Rick's like, be careful, they stumble upon this glass floor with hundreds of zombies underneath of it. And we were just like, oh wow, this is definitely gonna break. I wonder who's gonna fall through it, and whoever it is not gonna get eaten unless it's a rando, like a red shirt. But it was
Yeah.
the king, so he survived. Great.
Yeah. No, I thought that would have been a good opportunity for that like kid to get bitten,
Yeah.
and then we could have just like eliminated all that other shit. Because to me, those two scenes, the one where with the whole glass floor, and the scene where the kid is kicked by the fucking
Oh yeah.
horse, like those are the two like what the fuck kind of moments to me. Where my the can goes from like 100 to drops down to like a 93 because I don't understand why you need to do these things. I don't like when you make the characters look fucking stupid. Like
Yeah.
there was no reason that they needed that cart at all. If we're even going to use the argument that they're going to use it as a replica to build others, they already have a cart. So they don't need that. Do you really need a wooden canoe that is clearly just a hollowed out tree that the fucking Native Americans used?
Yeah.
Like, did you really need that as a replica to build off of? Probably not. And if we're remembering correctly, Georgie from last season gave them an entire book to the future. So are you telling me
wagons weren't in it?
canoes weren't in it? Or like you said, there's boats like
Everywhere.
everywhere.
There would be
Literally
boats everywhere. Not just canoes and kayaks, but like legitimate like pontoon boats or speed boats. You just fucking name it, you can find them.
Sure. Or anything. Literally anything. Boats that don't even require gasoline to function.
Mm-hmm.
They are there. So that's where it felt a little bit contrived to me that they were just kind of creating scenarios in the show to make it a little bit more dramatic when it just wasn't necessary. They could cut all this crap out and, it would still be a good episode. I didn't need Ezekiel hanging there.
Yeah, when the entire time he was hanging there, I was like, he's not going to die. I don't know why they're doing it.
And I agree, but he should be dead. Like, that is the reality of the situation. Like, he's hanging literally in a group of like 25 to 50 walkers, and they're all grabbing at his dreadlocks, at his feet, and his arms. And he has the tiniest little string wrapped around his waist. He should be dead.
Yeah, the string. They showed this. They zoomed in on the string a couple times. We're like, oh, it might break. It might break. It might, and it just never breaks. I'm just like, oh,
yeah,
yikes.
And to me, they never even really established like what the purpose of the mission was before you even like got into it. So I kind of felt like it was 25 minutes of like trying to figure out what the fuck they were doing and why the hell they were doing it. I know, Dennis, I think you had like that problem too, right?
Yeah, that one it didn't make sense. I don't know. I can't really add to what you said.
Well, yeah, you were like texting me and you were like, what are they even doing? I don't even understand.
I think the food was clever. I didn't know about that. Did you guys?
Like the seeds.
Oh, the seed vault. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought that was like a really good idea, and that's the thing. Like, this episode had really good attention to details. I think it addressed a lot of concerns and questions that people had about this world and how you would have to function in this world.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they were making gasoline out of corn.
Yeah, that was great.
Even down to like Daryl's cigarette, you could tell it was a handmade cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that is nice. Very good job. Like,
great attention to detail.
Great attention to detail. And then you have fucking Ezekiel swinging from a string, which takes you out of the moment. But I don't know. Overall, it was fine. Can we talk about the bridge? Because I'm a little bit confused about that situation.
Sure. What do you want to know?
I want to know what actually happened to the bridge.
What actually? Oh, they said a storm came through and blew it to shit, right?
Okay, that's what I thought. But here, I wrote something down. So when they leave the city and they're on their way, and Rosita meets them like part of the way. You remember when that happened?
Sure.
She came in at ATV, I think.
Yeah, she was on an ATV. And she shows them the bridge. And she says, and I quote, two other herds merged into Sylvia, so now it's even bigger. I don't know what Sylvia is. I'm guessing it's a herd.
Yeah, it's just some name they gave to some herd.
She said one of them came through here and the back end took down the bridge. Took the walkie repeater with it. But then later in the episode, they say a storm took out the bridge, didn't they?
That's what I remember.
So that's where I was confused because she says the herd took out the bridge.
I mean, are
Which
we
I'm not
referring to the
entirely
same
sure.
bridge?
Was it the same bridge? I have no
Yeah.
fucking idea.
I mean, it could be two
I
different
assumed
bridges.
it was the same bridge.
I was too, but then you see the water kind of raging, which would imply a storm. But then under the bridge, you see a bunch of like walkers growling or whatever, which would imply a herd. So I don't really know what happened to the bridge. So I don't know. That part confused the fuck out of me.
Yeah, I could have sworn they said the bridge was taken out by a storm. But
That's
she
what I
did say
thought,
some
too.
random shit about walkers, so.
Yeah. Well, and I was kind of confused, like, how could a herd take out a bridge?
Lucy says maybe maybe Sylvia is the name they gave to the storm? I don't know.
I don't know. She talks about the two herds merging into Sylvia, so maybe it's like a Zomnado.
Zomnado. It's going to be the next
it's just-
sci-fi film.
Yeah, man, that'll be so great. All right, so then no one has any idea what the fuck happened to the bridge. Whatever. Plot hole. That's
hole.
all. Doesn't matter.
Zomnado.
All right. So, where you guys? What else? Do
You
wanna
guys
talk
want
about-
to talk about how fast that kid died? Just,
Yes.
What is his name?
We got
I
bit
feel
in
like
the
it only
arm
gave it a
and
different name.
He was kicked
Ken.
in the chest.
It
His name
felt
was
like it was
Ken.
Kid, then Ken, then Kenny, then Kev.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what his name was.
It really
So he
doesn't.
got bit in the arm and then hit by a horse. and
Kicked
that
in
killed
the
him?
chest. He got kicked in his chest.
That was like one of those. Yeah. Oh, that could definitely kill you, but I don't know. He kind of died very like abruptly.
Yeah.
That was like one of those contrived situations where it just didn't feel like it had to happen. Like the wagon gets stuck, and they make it like this whole big thing. Like, oh my god, all these walkers.
Oh,
All
the
these walkers are
wagon
coming.
in the mud. Let me tell you, you had what, five to eight people pulling a wagon through the mud, and you're telling me the horses couldn't somehow do that? Are you kidding me?
That's not even my biggest problem. My biggest problem is that they had to leave because all those walkers were coming, and he runs back to cut the horse loose, and that's when he gets bit and kicked by the fuzzy horse leg, which I just the imagery of the horse leg kicking him. I just imagine they
And then
had
it
like
went to black.
they just had like a broomstick with like a horse hoof on the end and they punched him with it. But then so he blacks out, and when he wakes up, Rick's like, "Oh, we'll fight off all the walkers," and they do, and then all the walkers are dead. So it's just like
why
one of those.
why were we running?
Exactly. It's like one of those scenarios where they try to create this drama and this tension. These are highly skilled zombie killing survivors at this point, and yet you're going to tell me they all ran away from 15 walkers, and this is what resulted in the death of this kid. It just doesn't seem believable. But back
Yeah.
to the point of whether a horse kick can kill you.
100%.
100%, definitely can.
Cave your chest in.
So is that what happened to this kid?
I think so. That and he was bit and he was internally bleeding. There was no saving that kid.
He's just having a bad day all around.
Yeah, the scene where Rick goes, "Don't stop, come back." I would have like in my head it was like Rick was saying, "Don't stop, come back. Don't free the okay, you're dead." That's how it sounded in my head. I laughed when he did it.
The enthusiasm.
It was just there was no enthusiasm.
He didn't care. Poor Ken.
Don't
Shouldn't have
stop,
been out there
wait.
getting the-
It's the opening episode. Someone's got to die. Come back.
I feel like he had more than enough time to free that fucking horse.
I think so too. He had a machete.
Whatever. Mahete. Yeah, you should just cut that shit. Call it a day. Send the
Cut
horse
that
on its
shit.
way. Yeah, I don't know. The whole scene kind of just made me LOL hardcore because he's literally just like laying there and he's like,
Tell my
please.
parents I hate them. I don't know.
He's like, tell my parents, and they're all just like, oh, stop the bleeding.
We
And
don't even know who your parents are.
they go to stop the bleeding, and then they happen to notice the bruise. And he's like, my parents, blah.
Blah.
he
You know,
literally,
but-
like, his face just stops like moving. Like it was really bad acting, in my opinion.
Was it just me, or was there a horseshoe somewhere in the beginning of the episode? I kind of like. They showed like a brief few seconds of it, almost like a Final Destination sort of thing.
Oh no!
Did you guys see that?
No.
Wait,
Was
what
it-
do you
Like in the
where?
opening sequence?
Yeah, it wasn't in the intro. It was
Oh,
somewhere in
no.
the episode. I thought like maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Fuck,
I
that
could have
would've
sworn
been
there, I could have sworn there was like a horseshoe that like slung down from the wall.
what are you talking about? I literally have no idea what you're talking about. But
I
that's
think
hilarious.
somewhere in the episode there was a horseshoe nailed to the wall, and
Uh-huh.
it like
Oh,
slid
it was like
down, almost like a
foreshadow.
foreshadow. Yeah,
Oh,
I don't
No, I
remember
don't.
that. I'd have to go back and watch it.
yeah.
I might have been looking at something else.
That's
Remembering
funny.
wrong.
You
That's
could be
funny.
right.
It is definitely Final Destination.
If that is in there, I'm happy that it is, because then they're hiding those little things in the show again. Remember when they used to do like the clocks? The clock appeared. It was like the season title and then the episode number.
Yep.
That's cool shit.
Yeah. Now there's no clocks.
No clocks. Oh, there was a grandfather clock, and I didn't even look at it. Fuck.
Oh, dude, come on, what are you doing?
I don't know.
Angela Kang notices these things. Little details, man. Little details.
There was a clock though. I do remember a clock in this. It's an old grandpa
there
clock.
was. All right, so let's talk about. Can we talk about the sanctuary? So they're not doing too well.
Yeah, apparently they suck.
Yeah. So I will say I like the fact, and everyone was very. I watched Talking Dead, and indirectly, everyone who was on the couch was basically shitting on Scott Gimple.
Were they
And-
really?
Yes, even Daryl, like because Chris Hardwick was like, "Oh, hey Norman Reedus, like thanks for being here. It's so glad to hear you have more than 5 words or grunts and moans in an episode." And he was basically like, "Yeah." He's
Yeah,
like,
fuck
for
Scott
like,
Gimple.
he's like, basically, he was like, for like the last 2 seasons, I wasn't really doing much. And Scott told me, he's like, one day, man, we're really gonna ramp you back up on the show, just not right now, just when the story needs it or whatever. And he's like, oh, finally, it fucking happened. He has like full cohesive sentences in this episode. So
Oh, that's funny.
I thought that was a nice touch. But so obviously Daryl doesn't want to live at the sanctuary. I actually think it's kind of like that he's the one leading the sanctuary after they tortured him on Easy Street for however
Yeah.
many episodes.
When-
Dwight was a total dick to him.
When Rick was like, "Why don't you want to stay here?" I'm like, "Are you stupid?" He was tortured here.
Tortured, whatever. The loosest definition of torture.
Easy
Yeah.
Street.
Yeah, we're gonna do that again this season.
Dude, I have a friend who was in a fraternity in college, and one of their things that they had to do while they were pledging was clean the basement in the dark, and they played a song. I can't remember the song they played over and over again, but they just had it on loop. It was like mental torture, he said.
Were they naked?
Really?
No. I'm
How do you
so-
clean the
I
How do you clean the basement in the dark?
I don't know. You figure it out. Sorry to disappoint your fetish there, Dennis. were they naked?
Dennis just wants to know, man. All right.
We need the details. I don't know. It was dark. I wasn't there.
You didn't paint the picture vividly enough.
Imagine
What-
a basement smelling of rotten decay. Everyone's naked, but no one knows it because it's all dark.
Why? How long were they in the basement?
Oh, I don't know. A couple hours. My friend
Damn,
ended up
alright.
having to leave because he had class. They wouldn't let him go at first.
Did they give him his clothes back at least?
He wasn't naked.
I think he was naked. He just wasn't.
All right, in
telling.
this story, he'll be naked. Sure.
All right, good. They didn't give him his clothes back, and he had to go to class naked, right?
I'm not providing you any more FAP material.
All right, fine. Okay, so
You hooligans.
back to the sanctuary. Yeah, so this was where we get to see the good conflict between Daryl and Rick. Clearly, it sounds like Ryan, you are on the side of Daryl in this situation, which is a nice turn of events.
I mean, I guess, like, I wouldn't want to fucking work in a place where I was fucking tortured. I'd kill everyone there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, I think it's interesting, talking about like the whole Civil War type of situation where some people still support Negan in a way and kind of, I guess, want him to come back. And then everyone is like, oh, Mr. Amazing Rick Grimes, whatever. You're awesome. I love that whole Michonne in the bed scene. That was funny.
That was great. Yeah.
That was like the first time I saw those two, and I was like, oh my God, they actually have some chemistry together. This was nice. I liked it. Yeah. Oh. And so Carol decides that she's going to take over for Daryl so that he can leave. And basically a big fuck you to Rick when Rick's like, you want to come back to Alexandria? And Daryl's like, nah, I'm going to go to the hilltop instead.
It was a big fuck you for Carol to Ezekiel to do that after he fucking proposed. I'm like, what the fuck is this relationship?
Really?
He is all into her, dude.
Well, I mean, they've been together for 1.5 years.
1.5 years. No, I get that, but he was like, I'm going to propose, and she's like, no, fuck off, and he was like, I love you.
I think that's like what he likes about her. He likes the chase.
Oh, yeah,
Who
I guess
doesn't
so.
like the chase? Everyone likes the chase, man. Things get boring when there's no more chase.
I guess.
Right.
Sure. Whatever.
Come on. That's the best part of a relationship or a budding relationship.
Wow, the best part of a relationship is getting into the relationship. Then it's all shit from there.
Yeah, sure.
Courtney! Courtney!
Yes, coming from the guy who's been with the same person for 10 years. All about that chase. Got to keep things fresh every day. No,
You still chasing Courtney?
Yeah, we're chasing her every day. Trying to get her not to leave. No, I think it's very one of the biggest things I worried about with like a 1.5 year time jump is like, where would these characters be in relation to the last time we saw them?
Mm-hmm.
And I like that Carol and Ezekiel are together, and I think that's a natural pairing. I like that he's super head over heels in love with her, which is very much in line with like his character, who is very eccentric and over the top. And she's still kind of that like, yo, slow your roll type of chick, but she very clearly loves him. So I don't know. I like that dynamic between the two characters, and I didn't have any problem with it. And I think they will eventually get married.
But I thought it was shit that she basically ran away to run an entire camp that he wasn't at.
Oh, you think like she was actually running away from him?
Fuck yeah, she even says she wasn't in the show. I'm like, bullshit.
I don't know.
Run away. What is she? What is she playing? Fucking no. She says to Daryl, I had a bad time with what's his face who beat the shit out of me when we were married, but I really like this kind of corniness. I like it so much I'm gonna run away from it and run an entire different camp that is miles and miles away that Rick specifically says without vehicles would take days to get to. She's getting other than going to the fucking shore, she is running pretty fucking far away from him. She got as far away as she could.
I guess I didn't really take it as she was running away. I thought she overheard. There's that scene, and like I missed it the first time I watched it. I only saw it the time that Carol's like standing on the stairs listening to Daryl and Rick's conversation, where Daryl's basically disagreeing with Rick, saying he doesn't want to be there anymore, and Carol's listening in. I think Carol. Sure, there's a part of her who's like a little bit scared about the whole love thing or whatever, but I think ultimately her decision to go to Sanctuary is based off of wanting to help Daryl, not trying to run away from her problems, I think.
So you think she's still in love with Daryl?
No, I don't think she's still in love with Daryl, but I think she, respects his friendship. They've been together for. To me, I've got to imagine that there's some level of love there, that she loves Daryl more than she loves Ezekiel. Not in the romantic way, but if Daryl was hanging from a cliff and Ezekiel was hanging from a cliff and she could only save one or the other, I've got to imagine she'd probably save Daryl.
I agree with you.
You agree with me?
Mm-hmm.
But then Daryl would probably be like, no, I'll sacrifice my...
No, don't save me.
Dennis, where do you fall? Do you think she was going to the sanctuary more to help Daryl or more
Yeah,
to
that's
run
how
away?
I took it.
Okay.
She's helping Daryl.
See, Ryan, you're just wrong.
But I'm not. She's putting Daryl over her love interest.
I'm fucking with you. And yes, I agree. There is some level of her putting Daryl. Probably she sees it as an opportunity to take a step back from Ezekiel in a way. But I don't know. I think I'd be interested to see her running the sanctuary. I feel like Daryl kind of runs it with an iron fist. He's basically like, paint the fucking wall, bitch. And take this shit down, bitch.
Oh, that guy's going to become a major character, by the way.
Yeah, we could see him. He's already turning into a dick.
Well,
you know,
he's famous for being a villain.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's a very famous actor. Not very famous, but I've seen him in a lot of shit, and he always plays a bad guy.
Well, he seems to be the one who's like, he's always doing the wrong thing, like no matter where. Hanging the walker on that like cross thing. He's the one who's sitting on his ass, not doing what Daryl asked him to do. It looks like next episode he pushes Henry down or something. So I'm sure
They can't figure out who's doing the wall graffiti.
Yeah, well, obviously it's
I'm pretty sure
obviously it's him.
Yeah.
Does not take a genius to figure that one out, but you know, whatever. We're seeing more. We're not seeing more than everyone else. Daryl's seeing these exact same things too. So I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, do you think at the end of the episode, Rick comes and meets Maggie and basically requests help building the bridge, and Maggie says, "Go fuck yourself."
More or less.
Unless we get all the gas from the dead corn, you know, we're not giving them any more food. We're not giving them any more supplies.
And they have to do the whole fucking labor force.
Yeah, and they have to do all the labor for the bridge, and basically their gift is that we didn't kill them. So,
Oh yeah, what do they need gas for?
who?
Maggie.
Saviors.
What do you mean?
Oh,
They all have
Maggie. Okay.
cars?
I mean, they're
Cars.
self-sufficient. They have like a bunch of food growing.
Well, they probably need like, I don't know, a plow,
They have horses.
generator. I don't know. I'm sure they use it for something.
Oh, but they have a solar panel too.
They had a bunch
It
of
seems
solar
like
panels.
Hilltop's the place to go.
Yeah, Hilltop's the
Yeah.
jam, man. Maggie's got that shit on lock.
I don't know. Alexandria looked pretty good too.
Yeah, Alexandria looked all right too. I mean, really, the only one who's not so well off is the sanctuary. And I guess, like, at this point, why doesn't the sanctuary just dissolve and
Yeah,
go?
I was thinking that too. Like, why don't they just put those people in with, everyone else?
I wonder if that's just like part of the general agreement that, you know, Maggie refuses to go to Alexandria because Negan is there, and Daryl doesn't want to go back to Alexandria. I wonder if like just part of the thing is like, we're not going to kill you, but you're going to live on your own, and you're not going to get anywhere near us or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Would you want to live under the same roof of someone who like murdered your friends?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Me neither. So basically Maggie says it's your time to follow me at the end of the episode, and she lays the smackdown on Rick, which I thought was nice. And one of my favorite quotes of the episode: "It'll be dark soon. It's time to put the children to bed." And then she murders Gregory, which is great. Not really murders him, but
The girl with
Tempted-
the close
tempted
eyes
something.
still alive.
The girl with the close eyes,
The close eye.
Yeah.
the barcode chick.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was in this episode trying to talk to Daryl.
Oh.
Remember, she tries to like, "Oh, you brought all this stuff back."
Oh
and you
right,
make
yeah,
a speech."
okay.
He's like, "I'm
Yeah.
not making no speech like that guy."
I just thought it was odd. I didn't see her, but yeah, because she was there.
Yep. Um, I thought the ending was a little bit rushed. I would have liked to I would have liked to feel the weight of the hanging a bit more in the episode. I thought it all happened very abruptly, and it almost felt like they hung him so fast, like he didn't even actually have time to die.
Yeah,
before
he
they
died
cut him
real
down.
fucking quick.
He literally died in like instantly.
That.
Uh, yeah, so I don't know. I would have liked the weight of that to kind of linger a little more than it did. Really, the only one who seemed to have any sort of problem with it was Michonne, and I'm not sure
But I think that
No,
was
that's
only
only
because
because the
the
girl.
kids. Yeah, the kids came
Yeah.
out.
Well, she kind of explained on like a little segment on Talking Dead that she was concerned that there wasn't due process. Like,
That didn't come
should
off at all in the episode. It was
Well, not
100% shown to be the kids running out of the house.
yeah, I mean, well, we see in this episode that she wants to create an agreement, a charter between all the communities, make sure everyone's abiding by the same laws and the regulations, and deciding like for this infraction this happens, so on and so forth. So I think we'll see later down the line that that's why she maybe had this reaction to the situation, because she wanted to make sure Gregory got his fair shake, and that, you know, Maggie's not judge, jury, and executioner. Even though, like, to me, if she really tries to make that argument, it's gonna piss me off a little bit, because this guy has been a fucking thorn in Maggie's side since the beginning, and he literally tried to kill her. So, you know, I don't know. She shouldn't really have an issue with that. But I mean, if she's Team Rick, she sees how Rick handled Negan, and Negan is sitting in a cell. He's not dead. So maybe she feels the same should have happened to Gregory. Which in that case, I can't really disagree, right?
Yeah, guy was a douche.
He was a mega douche, but yeah, I don't know. I just like the kind of juxtaposition between Maggie's leadership style and Rick's leadership style, and kind of where that takes everyone. So I don't know. Overall, I'm real excited for this season. I think they fleshed a lot of things out, closed off a lot of storylines. I was a little like worried at the end of last season that they were going to lean way too hard into like this rebellion thing, but I think they did it pretty subtly and pretty even keeled in this episode. Like, remember last season where they closed out and Maggie like spins around in her chair like a Bond villain, and she's like, "We're gonna get Rick Grimes."
Oh yeah, like
they're in like the dark room, and like Daryl is like there in the shadows, and Jesus.
Yeah, they were all in cahoots. Maybe we'll see it, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think this episode took that and toned it down a little bit. And, you know, we see Maggie disagreeing with Rick, Daryl disagreeing with Rick. So I think they kind of carried that through.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little bit of a hard time believing that this has all been simmering for 1.5 years, but I don't know. I wish they kind of would have more clearly established the timeline in the show, but
yeah, it's always so hard with these time jumps.
Sure. I mean, it has to be 1.5 years. Herschel is at least, he's less than a year, between 6 months and a year old. Maggie, we all know, was not pregnant at all at the end of last season.
Right,
so,
yeah, she didn't show at all.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're talking like a 10-month pregnancy and then however old he is, got to be 1.5 years. So I don't know. I guess like she was mad at Rick, and then she was like, "Oh, I'm super pregnant and too tired to care," and then now she's back in full force, coming at him. All right, so we're already going into an hour here, so probably I have feedback, but I don't know. Do you want to read some of it now? Wait till next week? We'll probably wait till next week.
No. Jump into the feedback.
You want to jump in the feedback? There's a lot of it.
Just do half. Pick the best.
All right. Oh god, I didn't order the best. Let's jump into episode ratings first. How about that?
Okay.
I think that's what we usually do first. All right. Well, we don't have any episode ratings for last week. So, last season, I think we were all hovering around like fives or below. So, where do you guys want to start? Dennis, why don't you start? New beginning.
I'll give it a 7.
Wow, nice.
Wow.
Strong start. All right, Ryan.
So this episode being better than all of last season, I think. I don't want to get my hopes up, but I feel like this season might be good now that Scott Gimple's not here. So yeah, I think 7's I'll go 7.5.
7.5.
7.5. It had its issues, but I'm trying to be less picky because I know I'm an asshole when it comes to that shit. So.
No, I agree with you. I'm actually gonna, I'm probably gonna shockingly go higher than you guys. I'm gonna go with like a 7.991. But it was a good start. I've left enough room for it to continue to go up, but I wasn't too nice to it. So, yeah, overall, I thought it was a decent episode. It wasn't like one of those like blow you out of your seat premieres, but just generally kept me interested. For a 90-minute episode where typically we like roll our eyes and we're like, a 90-minute episode of this fucking show. I'm like, oh, okay, start to finish. I was actually pretty, involved in it, and I liked it. I didn't think there was too many weak spots.
Yeah, I wasn't counting the minutes.
Yeah, me neither. Dennis, I know you were worried.
Oh yeah, that first part of it was kind of a drag.
Well, you didn't know it was a 90 minutes, so you were like, shit, there's only 10 minutes left, nothing happened, blah blah blah. And I'm like, no man, 90 minutes, chill. And you're like, oh, all right. All right. So jumping into feedback here. If you want to send in feedback to the show, you can do so. twdepodcast@gmail.com is the email address. All right. First up is Vicky. Oh, that was a good voice. She said, didn't Maggie say they could only give the saviors food and no help with the wagon because they were waiting for an ethanol delivery? Could that be the delivery from Fear the Walking Dead that is no longer available since the tanker was shot up? Also, they brought up the bridge was out because of the storm. Could it be the Texas hurricane from Fear the Walking Dead? Maybe they're doing more show crossovers. I don't remember Maggie saying anything about an ethanol delivery.
I don't either.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if I was just going crazy or not. But no, Vicky, I didn't hear anything about an ethanol delivery. I doubt it's the same truck as Fear the Walking Dead. And as we know, this show has jumped forward 1.5 years. So as far as I'm concerned, that last season of Fear happened a year and a half before any of this shit happened on the most recent episode of Fear the Walking Dead. Even the hurricane. So I'm going to go with no.
Oh, gee, I just remembered we had a Zombinado in the show. Remember they were all hiding in the cabin?
That was like a hurricane too, right?
No, it was a tornado.
Oh, yeah, I guess it was. I don't know. It was like high winds.
High winds. I'm pretty sure. Whatever. I think it was a tornado. I think a tornado was said.
Fine. It was a Zomnado.
Zomnado.
All right. Next up, we have Nicholas. New credit sequence was beautiful. That's something we didn't talk about. What did you guys think about the new credit sequence?
I did like it.
I did too. Dennis, what did you think about it?
I didn't pay attention to the credit sequence. I didn't know it changed.
It's brand new, man. You got to check it out. You notice who I saw was like second build to Andrew Lincoln, Daryl Dixon, Norman Reedus.
So
do you think he takes the #1 spot on the show once Andrew Lincoln leaves?
No, I would say Michonne would.
She's like 5th build.
I don't take builds into account anymore.
You should.
No.
Okay. Nicholas says, I like the general vibe of the new season. Very different. This is like the most positive feedback I think we've ever received on our podcast in the history of our podcast. Just saying.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's bizarre. He says, I like the general vibe of the new season. Very different from the last few seasons. Writing, acting was pretty solid. I like the noticeable effort they put into using the walkers more than they did the last couple seasons. The Spider-Face walker was pretty cool. I think.
I did like that.
Did you like that? I
did. I liked it from a horror kind of aspect, but I don't think spiders would make a home in a moving thing. But
I do agree.
from a horror aspect, I like that. I thought
Yeah.
it was a cool new zombie, kind of like the toxic zombies from what it was either last season or the season before that were in like that toxic pit.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
well zombie always stands out to me as a favorite.
Yeah. No, you're right. They were good. I thought all the zombies were really great to they did some cool things with like CGI where you could see through some of them. I thought that
Mhm.
was all really cool. Of course Greg Nicotero was patting himself on the back during Talking Dead. Those were all great. And he directed the episode and I'm like, stop directing the episodes. Please.
If he does a good job, I'm fine with it. And if he did direct this one, it wasn't that bad. So
There was like a couple things I'm just like,
there's always gonna be a couple things with this show.
yeah,
so
but a good director would notice those couple of things.
you're not wrong.
Like a good director would know, like,
But it's AMC and it's
oh,
TV. It's
I
not
get
like
it.
some high budget film.
But
by
a good director
Disney or
should look at the
something.
scene and be like, this doesn't make sense. So when they look at the scene and they say, all of our characters are running away from these zombies and they're going to leave the horse behind, and this kid is coming back to get the horse, and then we're going to kill all these zombies. So why did we run away to begin with?
Yeah.
That's what a good director should notice.
Yeah,
Or we need to lift this shit over this glass thing, but there's a railing here that we could just lift it over. Why doesn't the director notice?
Why don't we
It's
just knock
like,
down the railing?
yeah. Well, why don't we just lift the plow over the railing? Whatever. All right. So he says, I think Gregory's storyline ended in a pretty satisfying way, and the whole Maggie storyline is pretty intriguing. I'm glad they're finally giving Daryl some interesting dialogue again. Not quite sure how I feel about Ezekiel proposing to Carol, but curious to see where it goes. Overall, a big improvement over the last season or so. The change in showrunner is very noticeable. My only real complaint is that this reminds me that this universe can still make me excited for the next episode, having intriguing storylines with a purpose, and makes me that much more frustrated over how much of the last season, or over how most of the last season of Fear turned out. Well, Nicholas, if you're listening to the podcast, I've already ranted about that thoroughly at the beginning of this podcast, so I'm sure we can all agree there. I almost want you guys to watch Fear just so you can like see how badly things turned out.
Well, based on what you've said, like, there's no need.
It might be like more enjoyable for you because you don't actually have to talk about it. You can just watch it, but it'd be fun for you to at least understand the shit show.
Did they renew Fear?
Yes.
Oh wow.
All right. So Thomas. We actually have two Thomases in this one, so this is Thomas number one.
First time.
First time in a while, I enjoyed a whole episode. It kept my attention throughout. The acting and dialogue was much more cohesive and well put together. I like that Daryl actually came off kind of human again. I like the set pieces and the attention to detail of crumbling infrastructure and lack of resources too. We've been here before, but I'm semi-hopeful with Scott Pimple out of the way. Maybe this show can salvage some positive momentum again.
That's good shit.
He's left his mark on Fear, slanty face. I'm also excited for Ryan Hurst to play Beta. The biggest question still remains, even if the show improves, how will Rick's departure affect the rest of the coming comic narrative? I'm not ready for this. I give it an 8 out of 10.
Ooh.
Dennis, how do you think in terms of Carl? I know you're like caught up on the. I am not. I'm still like halfway through the Whisperers. In terms of Carl being dead in the show and Andrew Lincoln leaving the show and also Maggie leaving the show, how do you think that affects like any of the coming comic storylines outside of, say, the Whisperers?
Very little. I think
very little.
good. This is a good point for Andrew to tap out.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, that's good to hear. That was not the answer I was expecting, so I'll take it.
Gotta read the comics.
I know. I will eventually one of these days. I always say I will before the new season starts. I never do. So, and if we're going this accelerated pace that Angela Kang says we are, I should probably catch up. All right. So Brian.
Brian.
Brian. Love the premiere. Felt like a fresh new show. The conversation between the characters great. The look of the show I really like. Still not ready for Rick's departure. This is the primary theme. Hopefully he goes out epically. Looking forward to seeing how the introduction of the Whispers happens. Maggie is a ruthless badass, and I love it. Been following the show from the beginning and still excited to see where it goes. Brian hasn't fallen out of love yet, guys.
I am excited to see where it goes.
I am too. I feel hopeful and optimistic this season. It's probably because I saged myself before the season starts, as I always do. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for a fresh new take on it. And
yeah, it needs it.
Angela, my girl Ange is gonna make that happen.
Hey, Angela.
Big Ange.
Big Ange.
All right, I'm gonna save the rest of the feedback for next week.
Cool.
Just because we're running long here, and yeah, if you want to send in feedback about the season premiere or episode 2 of The Walking Dead, you can do so. Email twdepodcast@gmail.com, and that's where we'll get it. Or on our Facebook page, facebook.com/fanfound.
Yeah, or catch us live. I think we're going to be doing this every Monday night, around 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Over at youtube.com/fandomfound. Well, no, it's not that, but
no, it's
just
not that.
just YouTube Fandom Found. You'll find us.
Yeah. Also on our Facebook page, we'll post the live link. Also in the show notes.
And on Twitter.
Really, honestly, if they subscribe to the YouTube channel, will they get notified when we go live? Or
Yep, you just got to click the little bell underneath the video or on our channel.
Sweet. Yeah. So do that, and you'll be notified when we go live, because it always depends. If one of us has diarrhea at 9 o'clock, it starts at 9. So,
and they somehow pass it to another co-host who then gets diarrhea.
If 2 of us have diarrhea, then we don't start.
And we're just shitting everywhere. And
then Dennis has to take a giant pee. It's
but hey, if you don't catch us live, you can always watch us on the YouTube channel as well, because we always save these. They always get uploaded immediately after the stream is done, so you can listen to us on the way to work, or you can listen to the podcast, because we always do both. We record and YouTube stream.
Yep. So if you want to listen to the actual audio, you can subscribe to that feed by going to fandomfound.com/subscribe. We're on iTunes, Google Podcasts. We're on Spotify now.
Ooh.
Even. So yeah, right. So if you just search The Walking Dead in Spotify, go to podcasts, we're like number 5 on the list.
Yeah, and all the other podcasts are shutting down.
Literally, all these. I'm gonna go on a little rant here. When I look at like iTunes, or when I look at Spotify and I search for The Walking Dead, and I go to podcasts and I see like 6 podcasts ahead of us who haven't updated since 2016. I'm like, why the fuck are these people ahead of us? I don't understand the algorithms. Like, does recency count for nothing? Makes no sense to me. We should be up at the top, because at this point we're one of the few Walking Dead podcasts remaining, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rant
I miss
over.
Sister Speak.
Hear what?
I miss Sister Speak.
Sister Speak is still doing their thing.
Are they? I haven't listened to them in a while then. I'm a bad subscriber.
I think only one of the sisters actually watches the show now, and she has like guests every episode. Maybe I should try to get in on a guest.
We should look into getting guests again. I missed the interviews we did. The two. What did we do? 2 or 3 interviews at one point.
I didn't like doing interviews.
No,
it's too much stress on me.
Charlie Adler was dope, though.
That was a good interview.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool.
I will say, if you are a fan of the Walking Dead comic books and to a good interview, it's the interview we did with Charlie Adler. That was a good interview.
That took years to get.
That literally did. Dennis stayed on him, and he did a very good job. Proud of you, Dennis.
Proud of myself too.
Wow. Yeah, so that is it. Next week the episode's called The Bridge.
So maybe we'll get that sorted out next week.
I don't think so.
I do want to thank Lucy for coming out and talking to us on the live stream. It was fun chit chatting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Always good to hear your live input. I like that a lot.
I think she tapped out.
Oh, yeah.
She gone. She gone. Our friend from the north.
You can always hear us shitting on the. You can only hear us shitting on The Walking Dead so much, and then.
I thought we were pretty fucking positive this episode.
I mean, compared to past seasons of of course, it's like the episode was kind of good. It was better. It was miles better than last season, so we shit on it a little less.
Yeah. No. I would have liked to listen to this podcast, so everyone else should. All right. So next week is the bridge. It's the communities join forces to restore a bridge that will facilitate communication and trade. Someone is gravely injured at the construction site.
Of course they are.
Yeah, so that's not good. I also heard there's another flash forward going into the next episode, 28 days or something like
Okay.
What are you
How
opposed?
far did they flash forward?
I don't understand. Maybe they're gonna do it next episode, but why?
Well, because if you look at it from this perspective, any of the drama that may have come from building the bridge, it looks like the bridge is almost done at this point. So it's like, because this is the problem. This is what I like about Angela Kang. It's like, I'm not going to spend half of a season showing you us building a bridge. I'm just going to say we flash forward 28 days, nothing happened, and now we're going to show you the fucking drama. And I'm like, thank you. That's fucking awesome.
Thank you.
Like us so much. So, I'm not going to complain about it. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll hold my complaints until there's something to complain about.
Yeah. I mean, there very well may be something to complain about, but right now, I'm not going to. So, all right. So that is it. Like I said, facebook.com/fandomfound and Twitter @fandomfound is where you can find us on the social medias. We're also on Instagram, username fandomfound. On our website, fandomfound.com/subscribe is where you could subscribe to the Walking Dead Enthusiast podcast feed. If you'd like to just listen to the audio versions, not live, that's where you can do that. And if you subscribe on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you like listening, you'll get every new episode whenever we release one. So just subscribe and it'll be there. And if you want to send in feedback, twdepodcast@gmail.com. And I think that is it. One other reminder, we're also podcasting Survivor.
Yeah.
That is live every
Thursday
night around 9 p.m. Also, diarrhea dependent. So you could tune in Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we record that podcast recapping the latest episode of Survivor live. And then we also release a downloaded version of that as well, as soon as our website is not fucked up anymore and I can set up a feed for that. All those backlog episodes will be live, so you can listen to those as well. And that's it. I think that covers everything we have going on. We have so much going on these days.
We do. We gotta get Grandma's Basement started.
Yes, that is also something else that needs to happen because I have things I want and I haven't been able to. So, but yeah, I feel like we've really stuck with our commitment to expand Fandom Found outside of The Walking Dead. We really hit the ground running, I'd say.
Yeah, we should open the Discord for anybody who wants to come in and chit chat in the Discord. We do have a Discord. It's just not out yet. So
yeah, I think Ryan, you could post those details on the Facebook page because I can't explain them.
I mean, I'll give you the link to post because I don't have Facebook anymore. So.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, that works. Cool. All right.
All right.
Well,
So
that's it. You guys have any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, looking forward to the season for once.
Me too. Dennis?
Yep, I have to agree.
Good. All right, guys. Well, until next time, I'm Sebastian.
I'm Dennis.
And I'm Ryan.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Walking Dead Enthusiast podcast by Fandom Found. See you next time.
Bye.